For just the second time in his managerial career, the Pep Guardiola team has finished outside the top 2. But thanks to a beautiful overhead kick from Gündogan, at least Manchester City secured Champions League qualification. In Serie A, McTominay pulled off a stunner of his own, sealing the Scudetto for Napoli. And over in La Liga, Robert Lewandowski reached a milestone: 100 goals in just 3 seasons for Barcelona. Not bad for someone who apparently was already too old when he left Munich. Hi, my name is Yannis and this is the Big 5 Leagues recap, where I don't just give you all the results from the top matches across Europe, but I serve up the storylines, stats, records and everything you need to know. And yeah, that will leave you more informed than 95% of all football fans, so let's just get right into it. Serie A was the only league with the title still open. Napoli and Inter were the 2 teams who could still win it. Inter had to face off against Parma and they defeated them 2-0. 114 goals in 1 season, which is a new record for Inter. And they can still win the Champions League against PSG. But they then didn't win the Scudetto, because Napoli, they beat Cagliari 2-0 as well. McTominay, he scored a beautiful goal. Lukaku sealed the deal with a second goal. And almost 100 years after their foundation, they now won their 4th Scudetto title. Also, they are the first team to win the Scudetto after being 10th in the last season, so there's still hope for AC Milan, who finished 8th because they had to face off against Monza, and Joao Felix, he took a page out of the book from Rice and Mbappe and scored his first free kick goal. AC Milan, they won 2-0. Like I said, finished 8th, and before Bologna, who lost 1-3 to Genoa. And Monza, they are now one of the few teams in the history of Serie A with 25 plus losses in a single season. Atalanta Parma, also 2-0, but that was just the halftime score for Atalanta, and they conceded 3 more goals in the second half, so yeah. But it didn't really matter for them. A team that needed a win was Lazio, who faced up against Lecce. And Lecce, they scored the first goal in the 43rd minute. And then, it's still in the first half, they got 2 red cards. So you would think Lazio would come back from that, but they couldn't score in the second half. And the only thing that came out for Lazio was also a red card, so 3rd red card this game in the 93rd minute, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, with that loss, there's no international play for Lazio next season. Speaking of international play, Juventus beat Venezia 3-2. Yildiz is now one of 4 players born in 2005 or later who scored with 10 or more goal contributions this season. You can guess the other 3. You know them. Write down in the comments. I'll give you 1, 2, 3. The other 3 are Duo, Diao and Yamal. Did you know it? I must confess I wouldn't have known. Yamal for sure, but the other 2, Duo maybe. Yeah, so like I said, Juventus, they got at the last Champions League spot and defended off Roma, who beat Torino 2-0. And Roma, they had an amazing 2025. Only Barca, from early 2025, only Barca got more points. Yeah, German, sorry. More points than Roma. So yeah, Europe League for them next season. And last but not least, Fiorentina turned their game against Udinese twice. And they not only turned it, but they won 3-2. And therefore they will be playing in the Conference League. In the Premier League, something really special happened, because Man U, they won against Aston Villa at this. They kinda won because Martinez, he got his first red card in his last game for Villa at that. Goals from Diallo and Eriksen sealed the deal then. And that was really unfortunate for Aston Villa and really lucky for Newcastle. because they were tied in points, and Newcastle, they lost as well, 1-0 to Everton. And now, because they tied on points, but Newcastle has the better goal difference, Newcastle will play Champions League, and Aston Villa, they will only play Europe League. Another match saw the Premier League winner Liverpool and the FA Cup winner Crystal Palace face off. And Crystal Palace, they scored early, had a lead, but despite being reduced to 10 men, Liverpool came back. Mo Salah, he finished his season on a good note, his really, really strong season at that. He scored for Liverpool. Next up, we had the freshly, not clowned, we should say the freshly clowned Europe League champions Tottenham, because they lost 1-4 to Brighton, and they even had a lead for halftime. Like, they were bleeding 1-0, but 23 shots against 4, 8 shots on targets against 2, so a 4-1 win for Brighton is really justified. City, they secured Champions League play by beating Fulham 2-0. Fulham, they had their chances, but Gündogan, he scored a really nice goal, and then he won a penalty for City as well, which was converted by Haaland. So City, they continue their trend of playing in the highest international league, even after struggling this season quite a bit, but they came back. Then Arsenal Southampton. Arsenal ended the season with a win as well, but a really late one. Sorry. In the 19th minute, Odegaard scored a goal. And for the last match I want to cover, for me it's a heartbreaker, because it was the underdog story in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest. They were at, I think, third for the longest time, but they fell off at the end of the season, and they could have still made Champions League play by beating Chelsea. But unfortunately, it was their first home defeat to a top 6 opponent this season. And Chelsea, it was the first clean sheet away since September. So Chelsea, they won 1-0. Chelsea will play Champions League, and good for them, but really sad for Nottingham Forest. But it's still a really good season for them, and it's the first time they will play European football since 30 years. I think exactly 30 years at that. So it's still good for them. Last match day of La Liga started off with Real Betis against Valencia, and Anthony proved that he's actually the GOAT because he scored again. But Valencia, they scored as well, so the final scoreline, it was 1-1, which is, I think, fair enough. Real Madrid versus Real Sociedad, this one got really emotional because it was Modric's last game, a home game at that, and he was seen crying before the game. Brace from Mbappe secured a good farewell for Modric with a 2-0 win. And it's crazy to think about when Modric came at the age of 27 from Tottenham, he hadn't won a single major trophy yet. And now he leaves Real Madrid as their most decorated player in history. So, real legend of the game. Another team breaking records was Valladolid, but they broke negative records with their loss to Leganés 0-3. They are now the first team with 30 losses in La Liga. 16 points in a single season is also a negative record, as well as a 12-game losing streak. So not their season. Girona Atletico seemed like a boring 0-0 match till the 68th minute, where Solok scored a goal, and then Lenglet added a goal in the 87th minute, and Solok in the 19th and 93rd minute he completed a hat-trick. Really fast at that again, but not as fast as his 3 goals in just under 4 minutes earlier this month. La Liga record after over 80 years. Last match I want to cover is Barcelona against Athletic Club. Robert Lewandowski, he scored his 100th goal for Barcelona, and a really beautiful one as well. Like, it was clever. Like, he faked out the defender by making him think that he will cross him. Then he received the pass anyway to the spot where he was before. And his 100th goal. He's a machine. He scored another goal. And then in the second half, Athletic Club, they fought back, but he couldn't score. And Olmo, he won another penalty. He went to shoot it himself and he scored. So 3-0 end result, which maybe wasn't the nicest farewell for the legend from Athletic Club and their captain DeMarcus. It was his last game, but I think losing to Barcelona, that's acceptable. He was honored by both teams when he was subbed off. That's it, not only for this week, but for the season as well. During the summer break, we will look at the biggest stories from the season, covering topics like the top 10 biggest winners or losers of the season, where we have a look at the teams, players, managers, who really outperformed their standards or underperformed them. So if that's something that could interest you, consider subscribing and let us know in the comments. Who do you think had a really good season? Players, managers, teams, or a really bad one? Let us know, and we might consider shouting you out, including your suggestions in these videos. So yeah, until then, see you. Bye.